All right, hello everyone. Thank you for attending this monthly podcast presentation with one of our turnkey provider in Buffalo, Niagara Falls. My name is SeeWing Yee from the Yee Real Estate Network, and we take our mostly California uh, investors to go out of state to buy turnkey cash flow properties. You can buy, acquire multiple portfolios, real estate portfolios in the out-of-state market so you can achieve your financial freedom goals. And so I know we have many markets to present. That's how we do it. We encourage our investors to diversify their real estate portfolios by one or two in one market, one or two properties in another market. So so they could achieve diversification, and when they're ready to retire in 5 or 10 years, whatever, they can allow the cash flow and the passive income to fulfill your goal of achieving retirement. So today we're going to present Buffalo Niagara Falls. The Buffalo Turkey provider been working with us for several years. They have been providing us with great turnkey properties to our investors for several years now, and we are very, very happy to continue to work with them. So basically, I mean, it is so simple, right? I mean, all you need, think about it as an investor, all you need are like a mere $15,000. Think about it, 15 grand out of your pocket, and you're able to buy a Buffalo Niagara Falls property for $55,000. But by doing financing, of course, and you can trigger if you do full cash, which a lot of of the people does to buy in this market, but for Niagara Falls, if you buy in full cash, your return, your real return is around 10%. I mean, that is amazing. That's better than the stock market if you do a full cash purchase, which are cash money or which are IRAs. But if you're going to leverage your investments, right, at 20% down payment on a single family home rental in this market, or a duplex or higher, from a duplex to fourplex, minimum 25% down payment, giving the return, giving the cash flow and the rent and all that, your cash and cash return is around 20 to 30%. I mean, if we add on to 2 or 3% appreciation potential in the Buffalo Niagara Falls market, maybe, so your total return on your investment could be 30 to 40%. I mean, this is such a no-brainer. The minimal risk, your total investment to leverage your investment for passive income and cash flow in this Buffalo Niagara Falls market is second to none. If you think about, you need to take a step back and look at your numbers. I mean, this is truly almost too good to be true. So 15 grand to achieve, the one purchase property, and or 20,000 or slightly more than $20,000 to buy one of these markets a duplex. I mean, will trigger you a very good cash flow. So, I mean, this is mind-boggling. So, how easy? Just do the math. 15 to 20 grand total out of pocket, you can buy a 40 to 50 to $60,000 property in this market. Do the number. If you have 100 grand cash or 150 or $200,000, and you can buy 5, 6, 7 of these turnkey properties in this market, and you can retire. You can accumulate a $2,000, $3,000 a monthly net cash flow on these Buffalo Niagara Falls properties. And I'm not saying you can quit your job completely and use this cash flow, but you can really improve your financial situation so much better with this passive income. So without further ado, I'm talking too much. I invite Caleb here to give us a big picture review of what transpired in his market, the Buffalo Niagara Falls market. I know, Caleb, the real estate market has been very, very challenging, because of the pandemic. Now we have the record low inventory everywhere in the U.S., right? Record low inventory and tremendous demands from owner-occupied buyers and real estate investors that want to buy these great single-family homes and duplexes and fourplex all over the country, and then record low interest rate combined with everything else. I mean, this is such a challenging market. So with that in mind, Caleb Kanazi, as you see here, is our main consultant. When we refer our investors to this market, Caleb is the primary person that can talk with you. And he's been doing a marvelous job for the past several years, consulting with our investors, answering questions, hold their hands. So Buffalo Turnkey Provider is a turnkey provider that's been doing this for decades. It's a family-owned business, and there are several members of your family doing the business. So you have an in-house property management. You have great referrals of insurance company. You guys have your own rehab team. You buy your own properties in the local market. You know all the neighborhoods and all the locations. You pick the right properties. You rehab it. And then you make it turnkey and put in a renter. If not, the renter is already in there. So you have such a great system, great niche you have. So it's like almost passive for investors. I mean, it's so amazing. People can sleep, peacefully and knowing that money is coming into their mailbox. It's just this easy. So you guys are very unique in your market. So. Yeah, so I've been over promoting you guys because I believe in what I'm saying. I'm passionate in what I'm saying. I wouldn't say these kind of things if it's not true. So with that in mind, Caleb Kanazi, tell me from a high level, what's going on with your market and why should more investors should invest in your market? Go ahead, give it away, take it away.
Sure. So as you mentioned, like this market is just crazy. I think you mentioned just a couple percent return for appreciation, but last year alone we saw like a 16% increase in Buffalo and a 17% in Niagara Falls. So that's just the appreciation alone. We generally just sell these properties really on cash flow. As you're mentioning, cash on cash it's just fantastic that you could get here. You could see from our spreadsheet essentially, but you're really just not going to be able to get returns like this in other markets. Buffalo is just known for essentially cash flow, and that's kind of how we sell our properties. And then we see basically appreciation as a type of bonus that you get on the property. So right now that bonus has just been fantastic at like 16% alone for the past couple of years, and it's not showing like it's going to slow down at all either. So that is just going just fantastically. As far as our properties, the list kind of speaks for itself. When it shows those calculated returns, it's just it's good cash on cash, and that's how we sell them.
Yeah, great for you to share this with us, because the misperception around the Buffalo Niagara Falls with any investors. Especially with our investors, they thinking, oh, Buffalo Niagara Falls is just cash flow, it's not whatever. But just hearing from you, what I hear you saying is that Buffalo Niagara Falls are really no different than any other markets in the U.S., whether it's Florida or Texas or Arizona or North Carolina. Your market has appreciated in the past, recently, in the past 12 to 18 months, quite significantly, mainly because of low inventory and high demand from the local buyers and from outside investors as well. Is that what I hear? Is that what you just said?
That is exactly right. We put property on the market. We don't do too many to homeowners, but when we have properties that we do to homeowners, essentially that have just too low of cash flow for your investors or other investors, we'll stick them on the market. And we just did one on Dirkston where we listed for $120,000 and then we sold it for $187,000.
Wow.
So it's going just insanely above asking. We had 22 offers on that property. Some especially pocket areas just are a crazy amount of prices. And especially another reason why housing is increasing is because you can't even build houses very cheaply anymore. Like materials have gone up extreme amounts. Just wood in particular is the single most increased item. It's gone up just in the past 6 months over 100%. Lumber. So even building a house has doubled the cost essentially as far as materials go.
Actually, Caleb, I'm glad you mentioned this. So I'm going to ask you this question as a follow-up. Yeah, that is very true. The lumber cost and the cost of building a house everywhere in the country has skyrocketed to like significant amount. So I know you guys use your own money to buy local stress properties on a consistent basis, right? I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
and then you use your crew, the rehab team, to fix up the property, to make it turnkey, to make it ready to sell it to retail investors like us from out-of-state investors. So how your current price point is your rehab cost and the materials that you guys are using, is it effectively is it impacting your product or thereby your final list price to us as investors could be higher than in the past? I mean, or you'll find some ways to still get some materials at a discount and is not gonna impact us investors?
So it is going to impact the investors a little bit. So we do get discounted in materials. We buy in bulk. There's 9 Home Depot stores in this area, and we're their number 2 customer here. So we're just buying tons of materials. They give us insane like discounted prices. We're going to bid rooms. We're buying materials in bulk. So we're getting great prices on them comparatively, but even still, prices are going up, and there's kind of no way for us to not increase prices. And since the real estate market is going up, prices have increased for your investors. That being said, rents are also increasing. So yeah, you might be getting a higher price for a property, but you're also getting higher rents now, so that your return, it's still good. It's still good.
Oh, that's what I want to hear, Caleb. That's what I want to hear. Yeah, I mean, that is so critical with what you just said. For example, a previous duplex that you've been selling to investors is for like 55,000, for example, or even 60,000 pre-pandemic. Now, because of the lumber cost and all that, you guys have no choice but to increase the price, 10% or even 15%. And the rent will increase correspondingly because in your market, there is just a shortage of houses to rent, right? So, yeah. so I could even make the argument in your market, there's a bidding war for renters to try to rent your homes. When there's a bidding war, you as a property manager that you guys have, you guys can raise the rent because there's a bidding war on rentals, right? So it's just
essentially, and with that, it's really helpful from a property management standpoint, because when we're trying to rent these, we might get 20 plus applicants on one single property. So we get to pick and choose which person we want. We get to get the best tenant out of all those tenants who want the house. So you're going to get a better quality tenant, essentially, since the tenants that don't qualify as well, you're just not going to rent to them. Mm-hmm. So it's working out really well from a property management standpoint as well.
Good. So in essence, what you're saying is, although the purchase price has increased accordingly, like everywhere else in the country, but your rent has increased. So the returns, the capitalization rate, the rent to value ratio, and the cash and cash returns that our investors has been accustomed to getting with your market in the past 4 years we've been working together, even with these recent challenges as we speak, the numbers still are pretty much the same. Higher price point, higher rents, still pretty much the similar high cap rates, high cash and cash returns, no different than before in your market. Is that what I hear?
I wouldn't say no different, but I would say it's slightly different. However, it is largely the same as far as that goes. And then the one difference is that in the past 4 years is if you've bought a property from us 4 years ago, you could probably sell that property a lot more than what we sold it to you for.
Wow, that's really good to hear. Oh my goodness, I'm even more excited to hear this for me right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really excited. I mean, I'm glad, we have this podcast. We need to do this monthly podcast so we can update our investors, that Buffalo, Niagara Falls, still a great market. Now, let me ask you this question. Now, some of our investors, they have some concerns, like, for example, they look at a picture of the house. I know the houses are old, 80 to 100 years old. And look, I mean, okay, this kind of houses are is not trophy houses. It's not, it's not a mansion like you see in California or Florida. It's nothing like that. So they may not be the best looking, but even 80 to 100 years old houses, you guys rehab it properly, whereby where the maintenance and upkeep is not really as great as some people think it is. So can you tell the audience, like, what are the expectations when you sell the house to our investors? I mean, I assume that you guys have updated the roof, updated the electrical system, the boilers, and all that stuff. So down the road, with the maintenance is not as high as some people's perception maybe. I mean, can you give us the reality behind the maintenance issues with holding your property long term?
Sure. So the answer to this is going to be it depends. So we sell all kinds of properties. We're buying anything essentially that we find to be a good deal. So when we're buying a property, a lot of them, they're going to be really dilapidated essentially, so that we're doing everything, like you said, roofs, boilers, like everything, and we're putting just a ton of money into the property. Other properties, when we buy them, say we get a good deal on a property that's already in pretty good shape, and we're really just putting like a couple thousand into it, doing some minor repairs, and the roof's still good, all that other stuff. So it's going to depend on each individual property. So when we're selling a property, we're not going to sell you a property where the roof, it needs a roof, it needs this, it needs that sort of thing. So nothing's going to be really needed, in our opinion at least, but it might need it down the road. Everything, I mean, any house you buy is going to need work done to it down the road. But these houses, they've been rehabbed. They might be 100 years old, but they've been rehabbed dozens of times since that point. So you're not buying an original kitchen, you're not buying an original roof. I mean, that roof has probably been torn off and replaced multiple times already. So it's basically, yeah, you're going to have a newer roof. On some of them, they might be 10 years old, but we're not going to sell them generally with like curling shingles or anything. And your clients can also get a property inspection, and we would recommend they get a property inspection. Generally, the inspector will find a few minor things, and we'll take care of that. And anything that your investors want done, say they want, hey, this furnace is 15 years old, can you get us a new one? And we can. And we could do it a lot cheaper than the next person. We'll just say increase the price $1,000, and here you go. You got a brand new furnace now, and things as such. So every house is going to have maintenance. It's an inevitability, but some houses it's going to depend on basically on the house itself. So we're trying to keep them in good shape though. So I know it's not probably the best, most satisfactory answer saying it depends, but that is the truth there.
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah, definitely. We have many buyers already, and most of them are happy with their experience of the property. So it meet our investors' expectations. So yeah, you guys must be doing something right. So I'm glad for that. So let me see what other questions do I have. All right, in terms of, I know you guys been doing it for, I don't know how long, 3 or 4 decades in your local market. So you know your market better than anybody else. I mean, you know every street corner, every neighborhood and whatever. Obviously, I mean, again, the misconception is, the tenant may not be the highest quality, the neighborhood may not be all that great, but I think my understanding is so far is that the property you picked is although the area that you pick or like working class neighborhood. I mean, it's not a rough neighborhood, nothing like that. I mean, it's not that much crime and so the tenant. I mean, obviously in terms of class, I use the alphabetical class neighborhood. I could make the argument that the property that you sell to investors are either like a C neighborhood, C plus neighborhood, even B minus neighborhood. I mean, for the lack of a better term, would you kind of concur with us?
I would concur that that is the general for it. But again, as I was saying, we're buying them everywhere. So we will sell A class, B class, C class, and even like we try to stay away from like areas that are really kind of rough. But because we don't like those properties too much ourselves, so it's tough for us to just recommend them. And we're very upfront and honest with clients. We'll tell them exactly how the neighborhood is. That you could look it up. You could come and visit us as well. We'll show you the areas. That's not a problem. So we're upfront and honest with people. So generally how it works though is the worse of the area, the better the return tends to be because you're working with a lower class of people. But generally what we're going to be selling, like for our say typical property, it's going to be in that like B minus a range there. So it again, it depends.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You know, whenever I receive a monthly inventory worksheet, you know, I salivate over it because it appears that you guys do a lot of volume of business. I mean, that inventory worksheet, like you have several hundred properties in your company's personal portfolio. We're talking about the properties you all presented is off market. That means it comes from your own personal portfolio, the Kanazis, right? I mean, it's not in a multiple listing service. You know, the investors does not have to do bidding war that we've been hearing everywhere out there, right, in the investment world. But, you know, multiple offer, you know, 100 offers per property, bidding wars, and what, you know, you're not, the beauty of your system, that your turnkey model that you guys have been practicing all these years, you guys buy off market. You guys sell homes from your personal portfolio that you guys own. Investors, out-of-state investors, does not have to go through the stress of bidding war, all those kind of things. So you get what you pay for. So, you know, it's just a what a awesome system. You guys are just amazing, right? I mean, investors cannot take it for granted, right? Not, you know, I mean, your market in Buffalo and Niagara Falls are kind of no different than other Midwest market, you know, in terms of, you know, the kind of product out there, for example, Cleveland, Ohio, Memphis, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Indiana. I mean, some of the market, they, you know, those people out there, they claim to have great cash flow, great, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, right, you know, they're not the same as you guys. You guys are transparent. You guys been doing that a lot longer than everybody else. You guys have in-house team of everything, property management, one-stop shop. You guys are in it for the long term. You guys are very honest. You know, you guys price the properties correctly for our investors, right? There's no, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, what can I say? I mean, long term, if investors buy from your market, from you guys, I mean, the investors going to know for the long term, for the next 5 to 10 years, you know, you have a team, the investors have a team on the ground, people like you and your team, your father, your siblings, your sister-in-law, they're all in the business. You guys do different things within your business. So it's very comforting to know that, you know, long term, when we buy property, you have skin in the game. You have a system in place where you can service, you know, this investment for our investors long term, 5, 10, 20 years down the road. And you know, I mean, what more can you ask for? Not many market. Believe me, from time to time in the past, I work with other Midwest markets. They do not have the kind of attributes that you guys have shown. You know, they, for whatever reason, okay? So I have to be honest and transparent with you. So that's why, you know, I mean, some of my investors, they say, oh, I need to go to the other Midwest market to buy high cash flow properties. They just don't know. It's not that simple. You know, there's a lot of, you know, turnkey providers in other markets that are not transparent. They have not been at that long. They have not done it that long. They are not as honest. They're not as, you know, forthright. They don't provide good service. You know, a lot of issues. But you guys are different. So
yeah, exactly. And the key term that you keep bringing up is long term. Yeah, we're in it for the long term. We have repeat clients is how we mainly deal with is repeat customers who keep coming year after year for us. Whereas we have some clients that have done it in other cities as well, like as you mentioned, Cleveland, Syracuse, or stuff. And we've checked out Cleveland and Syracuse ourselves and have not been impressed with the properties. In fact, like in Cleveland in particular, we met these guys who did basically what we do, but they have to take out like the furnaces and hot water tanks when a property goes vacant because otherwise they'll get stolen, where that's like completely foreign to us. That doesn't happen at all here. So it's their markets are a little tough, but and then the key, it really is long term. Like I plan to be doing this for the next 30 years, like the rest of my life here. So I mean, I'm not trying to screw anyone over with anything, whereas some of these other guys are here one day, gone the next, and they don't deal with repeat customers. Whereas, I mean, that's our business model essentially. We want to make it easy on us and easy on you guys. So we like selling to investors, and it just is an easy, good relationship that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So I know we only got a couple minutes left. So I know, again, when my investors, they see the monthly inventory spreadsheet, you know, it's very overwhelming. You guys have so many properties presumably available. But I know, and you know, that whether you know, any given week or any given month, you guys may have 50 properties available, but they go quick. The reason why they go quick, as I understand, because although many of our buyers, they can still do financing, which is amazing. You know, we have our in-house investment loan agent, Richard Advani. He's willing to do small loans, you know, $50,000 loans in your market, and the appraisal works and everything else. So our investors can get 20 to 25% down payment financing in such a small purchase price in your market with cash flow. But your investors that coming into your product, they're buying mostly all cash. In fact, they buy 3, 4, 5 of your properties all at one time, all cash, like they buy in bulk because they see the return. They did the numbers, you know, those high-end investors coming to buy from you guys, they see the value. They buy 3, 4, 5, 6 at a time. They have like 300, 400 grand cash to buy 6 or 7 properties just like that, wham, right? And your investors come from like from Canada, across the river,
yeah.
and from Europe, from Middle East, Israel, somewhere.
Yeah.
High level investors just enter your worksheet, enter your inventory, just buy in bulk, all cash, and really, you know, your father decided to sell to our investors with financing, which is more challenging. I really appreciate that you guys allow us to do the financing instead of you must buy all cash, whatever, right? But I'm sure you have other investors from other part of the country throughout the US coming to your unique market and buy from you guys all the time, mostly with all cash, slam dunk, no problem. The return is there. See, sophisticated investors know that not only you have a good system. Let's use one example. You have a duplex for $55,000, okay, maybe $60,000 duplex that rent for $1,000 to $1,100. To me and you, as a sophisticated investors, a trigger on my brain. You get all cash, you get like 11% return with all cash. With 25% down payment, you get about 20 to 30% cash on cash return. I mean, there's no other asset class, real estate or otherwise, stock market or mutual funds or any other type of investments that can match the return, the numerical paper return that you are getting in your market. So investors need to understand when people buy in your market, they look at the cap rate, they look at the high returns on investment, they look at the cash on cash return, the total return on investment, the rent to value. The rent to value, I usually use 1% rent to value, right? That means when you buy a property for $60,000, the 1% rule, $60,000 multiplied by 1%, you get $600 monthly gross rent. But you will get on a $60,000 purchase in your product I mean, you're getting $1,000 to $1,100 rent. We're talking almost 1.5 to 2% rent to value ratio. That is, the benchmark is way above the industry standard, right? So
Yeah.
investors, smart investors, need to think this way. Yeah, the house may not be all that pretty. You know, you're not getting a Cindy Crawford of a house. You're not getting it's not like a supermodel. You get a house. I mean, you don't. Yeah, the house may not look at it great. Who cares if this rehab correctly? You know, it's turnkey, right? And then you get the return that you want. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the return and long-term growth. And in your case, even appreciation that we haven't even talked about. So, wow.
Yeah, yeah, and they're not. You act like they're like these ugly houses. Like they look good when we're done. If we rehab a property, they look good. Like photos, we can attract. Our product looks good. So when tenants come, we can attract good tenants to rent these out too. So they look good and they return well. So they're older is the only thing that they have. We could say they have character.
Yeah.
Is an extra way to put it too.
Right, right. Okay, all right, great. That's enough. Okay, I mean, it's clear. So you got a great system, great product, great, you know, multiple passive income strategy. So anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say. And any final words from you before I let you go?
No, that's pretty good. So that people can feel free to give me a call. I'm available anytime. I work all the time, so anytime is good.
Sounds good. Caleb Kanazi, and from the Kanazi team of the Buffalo Turnkey providers. Thank you so much. And we'll talk again next month on another podcast. Thank you so much, Caleb.
All right. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.